What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the MLO Project, coming to you from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina at the High Table Mastermind. And joining me, as always, is my awesome co-host, Big Mike. What's up, buddy?
How you doing, Frazier?
No touching. No touching. We were very clear in my contract there would be no touching.
We're not live this time.
We're not live this time.
We are in person.
Yes.
We've got Chris. This is Chris's second time with us in person, but he was like we mentioned on the last episode, he was a victim of my technical ineptitude. Is that a word?
Yep.
Probably a good thing.
Yep.
Probably a good thing. I don't know. It felt like it was a good
No,
topic.
I think you had one of the better interviews,
Yeah.
to be honest with you, because you said a lot of good stuff about me. And
I
that
don't
was
remember
That's what
that.
I remember. It was probably
Yeah.
like 15 minutes about how awesome I was.
You slipped me some bills before.
Yeah.
That's
That's how it goes.
All right. Well, I'm glad we get a do-over then, Chris.
All right.
How are you doing, man?
I'm
This
doing
is
well.
your second High Table Mastermind in
Yeah.
6 months. How's it been?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd say we were just talking a little bit about it, right? Outside. This one's a little bit more focused on building your business with today's technology, right? Like that's
Yeah.
what we're going to talk about today. So it's so much has changed in 5 months from last time we were together.
Yeah.
It's everything that we wanted to do is all right. Everyone can just do it, right? And
Yeah.
I think now it's a matter of how do we use this stuff, and I think your points in the beginning, which were perfect, like don't kill yourself learning technology. Just be ready for the technology that's coming your way more than anything else, right? Because you're going to be able to ask a bot to build you just about anything you want.
Yeah.
Before too long.
Yeah, and I think as we get to the questions we have, just to set some context, can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and your company and your model, just so as we get into how we're looking at technology and AI, they get a better context of kind of like your shop and how you're running it.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. So I started in the industry in 1996, so it's been a little while.
I was still in diapers, dude.
Yeah, maybe.
No, I was. Not maybe.
He's like-
For those of you listening, I was.
Yeah, he's like 13.
All right, so now that I made myself nice and old, started in a consumer finance company, which for those of people that don't know what those are, that was like beneficial finance for consumer finance, city credit, selling interest rates of north of 17%, with average points between 7 to 10 points on every loan. So and that's what a mortgage was. So I always get a kick out of it when people are like, "Oh, the rates are high." I'm like, "You have no idea." Coming on the back end of the 80s, what we were looking at, getting below 10% was exciting.
Yeah.
So lots changed in these years. I spent most of my career on the wholesale side, running origination channels for various different lenders. And I would say about 7 years ago now, 6, 7 years. Could I do that then, right?
Yeah.
Get you some.
Oh. Aren't your kids too old for that?
They're no kids too old for
No
that.
Yeah.
kids.
They're not even kids; they're adults now. I joined into Northeast, which I'm now part owner of. It's one of my old clients, and our model is a true broker model. Though we hold a lender license, we have no plans and no desire to ever go that direction.
Yeah.
We like the freedom the broker business gives us.
Yeah.
So what we've done is we've basically created a model where like independent loan officers that want really awesome support, and what I would like to say is like the best level technology with the best set of tools, I guess you could say, in their toolkit that you could get without all the headache, quotas, numbers that come with being at a lender.
Yeah.
So I take all the great things I love about the industry that I've done, and believe it or not, I still actually do like it here. It's why I'm still here. And just try and make parts of the origination process fun. We're all sales-based organization.
Yeah.
And I make that very clear to everyone that comes on board is our focus is just getting our clients through the system as flawlessly as possible with the best possible experience. To the level that our mission says we want people to look at us as like financial advisors more than anything else. So way we do that is really really understanding our customers, but giving our loan officers the time to be loan officers and not be processors and not be compliance people and not do all those other things. We've actually got a couple former broker owners that work for me that love this model because they don't have to deal with all the garbage that comes with running your own shop.
Yeah.
So it's we're based out of Connecticut. We operate in 4 states. We operate in Connecticut, New York, North Carolina, and Florida.
And your accent's Southern California? Is that
all
where you're
Jersey?
born and raised?
No.
Jersey. Never
Yeah.
guessed.
So what does that look like? We've worked together for a long time, and I've kind of seen you guys evolve over time technically, but you've always had some form of, the theme of this event has been unfair advantage, and I feel like you guys have always had an advantage that was tech based, but it's looked different and it's evolved over time. So what does that look like today? And maybe talk us through like when you decided that you were going to use technology as an unfair advantage, so to speak, and how you've been able to keep up with the times changing, regardless of the fact that you're a broker shop, you're not a lender with massive overhead and crazy CTO and all that stuff.
Yeah. So I would say that that when I first came on, the goal was to make the broker shop feel like a big space, right? That has all of the cool tools without all of the nonsense and craziness, right? So on the wholesale side, everyone knows about UWM, right? And how they built their business. And I used to compete against those guys, and they were always so much better at technology than everyone else. Mm-hmm. And they were able to do more with less in a lot of ways, just based on technology advantages. So the thought was coming here, leverage all of the resources brokers get from their wholesalers, having been one in the past. I know there's lots of little tools and tricks we can get on other people's dimes and learn and make and make that stuff better as your own. So that was always the model. It was always like, let's find a way to make the business super techy, super smooth, be able to get that younger demographic customer, people my kids' ages right now that like they're going to be buying homes in a couple of years. How do we get them into our world, right? It's, I like to talk to people on the phone, but you get someone 30 years or younger, they just want to text you, right? Or do something else. So I think, when we first started down this path, Mike, I found you as a lead vendor, right? Like I wasn't even looking for a CRM. So we had what I felt, and we were using the same CRM, which is kind of crazy. We were using this CRM called Zoho, and it's a company that I had been with for like 11 plus years and had a lot of success with. And, we went down a path to kind of open up a new lead source and learned where, where we were, I think 4 years ago, I think we started working together. It was just so excited to be able to get a lead and have a system text and email and call on your behalf. And, anytime anyone's worked internet lead knows you got to be there, right there, right away. And to be able to have a system that was doing that for you and get your loan officers that maybe were not call center loan officers, the ability to compete with those people was a really big deal. And I don't have an inside model. Like that's not what we do. I want people to be independent sales professionals, but I got, like you talk about unfair advantage, right? Not many outside salespeople can be running around doing their day and know when a lead comes in that lead has been emailed and texted by their behalf, and oh, by the way, their phone is ringing right now to connect them on a phone call to them. Not endless voicemail, like, hey, let's get this person live. Like, no salesperson, no matter how good they think they are, can just stop what they're doing that second and be able to make that stuff happen. So that was like the beginning of it, and then what we're talking about this week is like the whole next level stuff. Where we're going.
Yeah, and going back to giving the context of the model and understand how you approach, your team and whatnot as an owner when you, obviously see what other companies are doing with AI, when you read articles about, this vendor doing this with this vendor doing that with AI, this lender doing this, doing that with AI. How are you approaching that with, as opposed to like someone that just goes, I need AI without really even understanding like, all right, what in your business are you trying to solve for AI? So how are you approaching how are we going to look at utilizing AI and then thinking about what our plan and strategy is around adopting it in whatever area that we think is going to be the biggest lift for us?
I think that's a great question, and I would tell you, I'm using AI in our business to basically buy back our time.
Yeah.
Right? And that's where I'm using it. And on our weekly calls and daily coaching sessions, it's always around. We can't lose the human element of it. Mm-hmm. So examples of like where AI kind of like rocks and does stuff for you that you really think it couldn't do is something as simple as like an AI note taker, right? So, doing my initial intake with a new customer, going over their fees, going over their transaction, knowing that I've got just something as simple as something taking notes for me in the background and summarizing that conversation. It gives me the ability to focus, get deeper into that conversation, really understand and know that person. And that's the human touch, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm using a non-human bot to do the busy work and get it off my plate.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So any little opportunity that we see, we're going to exploit it. Right. Yeah. So like something that to me would be busy work, if I can automate it because it doesn't need a human touch, that's where I'm going to use it.
Yeah. And I think that's the smart play because most people are like, well, how do I, and I get it because sometimes there's some overlap when you look at one is things that you don't enjoy doing in your business, but also things that you're not good at, right? Now, sometimes people are looking at AI as like, well, I don't like doing this, so I want to automate it, even though like, hey, that's like the one thing that's going to give you the most human and connected lift in that, especially in the upfront the original intake call, as opposed to, like you said, some of the busy work. So I think it's like, how do I maximize time so I could use that time better spent in more impactful and money making activities? And so that's
right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's like my big thing. Like anyone that works with me knows, like I always harp on like, what's your hourly wage?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You guys probably heard me say it like 5 times this week, right? And that's the whole thing. Like if it's something that's beneath my personal hourly wage, well, that's not a money making activity. Right? Yeah. And if I can automate it, that's absolutely what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
The other thing I'm using AI for too on the operations side is to just streamline the process. So anyone in operations listening to this podcast, I apologize in advance. I'm not trying to say your job's going to be replaced, but I'm telling you, your job's going to change. Like in a big way.
But I'm going to tell you your job's going to be replaced.
No, it's going to change.
However you want to,
It's going to change because we're all going to be better for those of us that survive through this. Yeah. We're going to be better. And I didn't talk about the initial how long I've been doing this to brag about my experience. To kind of say, listen, I've been through this before, right? 2000 we got all messed up. In 2007 we got really messed up. Yeah. And AI is going to mess things up for a lot of people.
Oh yeah, totally.
Because they're going to take advantage of stuff. Like I see things going on right now to me that seem completely insane and risky. Taking customer information, throwing it into a bot to tell you to do something with it when you don't know where that information's going. Yeah. That's insane. Yeah. But on the operations side, I think about it like how many things that we're using human to do, whether it be ordering title, ordering insurance, chasing particular documentations that probably could be just automated, right, based on a flow through your system, and then have a bot, right, that's like a human, do your follow-up. That it gives a processor, in my eyes, the opportunity to go from doing 10 widgets a month to 15 or 20. And we talked about this before, and I've had the unfortunate, ability to say, I've fired thousands of people in my lifetime. And that's no exaggeration because of the crashes. You're telling 800 people at once to go home. That's not a good feeling.
Yeah.
But also, living in this business, we are an industry that's been plagued by terrible headcount management as long as I've been in it.
Oh, absolutely.
The amount of times I've had managers or bosses or executives come to me and say, we got a riff, because we've got, this bloat here. We've got to cut back expenses. And the first thing we're going to do is just tell, single mom of 3, you got no job. Like that sucks, man. So like, I see AI as a protective measure in some ways to keep people from getting too far in front of their skis and falling on their face and telling, half their office that they've grown to become not just co-workers, but like family. You got to go home, and that, I think you can leverage those things now to set yourself up for it. And what I mean when I says, ops people aren't going to lose their job's going to change. You're no longer going to be chasing that title policy or that insurance or that one condition from the customer. You're going to be, maybe working with a machine to chase 40 of those things at once, right? Or you're going to be more of an outspoken voice than you ever were before. Like there's things are going to change for sure.
Yeah, I think to that point, that's like I look at it though. With those are some people. I look at like the mediocre, below average people will go away, right? Because I just think you can't keep because it's at that point you're like you have to justify that expense as a business owner, right? And so it's nothing against like trying to replace people. It's just the way business is. But I do think, to your point, and I never heard it put that way, but it's kind of something that I've always envisioned is like those when you say their job's going to change is like I look at it as like you pointed out certain elements and things that they might be doing won't be doing any longer. Then to me they become more of like a kind of like a assembly line manager, right? So they're making sure like all these things are getting done, and then maybe she's or he are able to manage and do a little bit more on the customer service, customer experience side. So maybe they're wearing multiple different hats in that, and so now that just creates a even more streamlined and human experience with it. So that to me, that's where I look at that's a change, not a your job goes away, but actually becomes a little bit more important because there's certain knowledge and certain things you can't transfer to AI in your business, especially in our industry. You just can't because it's not going to be what the end consumer is going to want.
Well, I think again the human element of all of it is the most important piece of it.
Yeah.
Right. Like your mortgage, which is what we do, right, is for just about everyone their most important financial debt. Like this is the house they live in for many of us. Not everyone's a big time investor. So you have to take that really seriously, and it's got to be a personal approach. Like I don't know how many people that would trust some AI built bot, to finance their family's home. Like that just seems like a really bad idea.
Well, I think what's interesting about this is that it's going to cause, like, I don't picture. It wasn't me this time. We're good. I don't picture a lot of current, I hate to say this, but like I just think about the people that I've worked with over my career, and like the majority of them are not the majority of them don't adapt until they feel like they have to. And unfortunately for a lot of people, that's gonna mean losing the job that they've had for years because they weren't willing to like see the writing on the wall. They were too resistant for too long. But then also I think that there's probably a personality mismatch in a lot of these ops roles, because I've been saying this for the last year or so now, is like the where 10 years ago for operations roles, for like a processor role, for example, you're hiring a high C on the disk profile or a CS or something, like not a people, but like a very type A organized, like, and don't get me wrong, I think those organization skills are still obviously going to be valuable, but they're going to be less valuable in lieu of the personality, like the customer engagement type personality traits, the high I, somebody who's going to be more warm and fuzzy for that customer to interact with in every single role in the loan process. Those are going to be your best employees, are going to be the people that you can stick in front of a customer because everything else is handled behind the scenes. And so like the number of processors that are out there that like would completely squirm at the idea of being a primarily customer facing role, that are not going to adapt to the technology, that are not going to adapt to the new requirements of like being more customer facing. I just see like, I don't know, I think it's going to get, I would love to be able to say like that this role is going to change, and that means that there's going to be a lot of people that change within the role. But realistically speaking, I think it's going to be.
That was a body.
I think it's going to be a little more ugly than that. I think it's going to be a little more bloody than that.
Yeah, I mean, I think yes and no. I think the one thing we've learned about this business, it's extremely resilient. And the more I feel like that gets thrown at us from every different direction, it's going to be just another thing thrown that we're going to have to deal with. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be disruptive for the people that really, don't want to change and don't want to do it. But frankly, I see those people as the smaller portion of the production today anyway. If 2007, 2008 didn't get rid of all the bad actors, COVID certainly killed them, right? So like you've got, that's a terrible analogy. COVID certainly made them not want to work there anymore. It's the worst thing I've said in a long time. I apologize. But
I didn't even notice. That was great.
Either way, what I'm saying is like a lot of people left the industry because it got hard after that, right? Like rates went way up. I started originating for the first time in years because our business lost volume, right?
Yeah.
So like you look at it that way, and I'm like, okay, well, the people that are left genuinely really want to do this for a living and really want to make it work. So, and they just are coming on the tail end of, unless they got in the business a couple days ago, and they'll grow up with this, right? They'll learn it that way. Is they just went through a really tough period of 2+ years. And we're getting kicked in the dirt again now with this war and rates going the wrong direction. And I'm not a rate salesman, but still, it's hard for some people to get over that and get through that. So I think, yes, the resistance will do some people in,
But this is a good time for it to be happening, I think, to what you're saying.
If anything, like the people that have been slow and slower than normal, they're more open to the change now than they were before. So like we've had your service in Power LO for 4 years at my place. And these last 5 months, right? So I feel like the first High Table engaged me to get a little bit deeper in to the tool itself and leverage what we're doing. Last 5 months, the engagement is like through the roof, where I have loan officers that honestly I don't think can spell CRM, more or less know what it means. And now they're like all day long. And we call it Empower. We don't even change it, right? We just call it what you built for us. So like we go nuts on it, and the excitement that they get and the joy they get with the AI stuff that we're building is like, it's awesome. It's awesome. And we're using AI to build tools to solve problems. Yeah. Right.
Talk about those a little bit, because we I think even in this entire mastermind, we haven't really gotten a chance to talk about the tools that you've been building with, like use Claude code now or Cowork.
I don't know what it is. It's Claude.
It's
right?
Claude. It's something Claude.
I know enough to be like somewhat dangerous, and I try and keep it in a space that I'm not going to hurt myself or my company. Yeah. But so like one of the things we built, like it would always be really cool. We've got all these great open house kits that my staff has used when they work open houses with realtors, and it's flyers and pretty pictures and maybe a presentation. We changed it based on the feedback from realtor calls and all of this other stuff we've been doing, to just a QR code that you put out on a desk or on like the kitchen counter. That's an interactive payment, basically buyer guide for that unique property that puts the realtor front and center, your loan officer front and center, and it does all the cool stuff that you would have to pay a developer thousands of dollars to make in the past. Yeah. So like literally it takes my loan officer, 4 minutes, look up a listing online, get some data, type it into the computer, and they get this unique link. It spits out a really nice 8.5 by 11 PDF that's agnostic to anyone's colors, so they can just put it up at any open house they go to. Someone hits that QR code, and that's the sticky marketing that you want, because that person now looks at it, and what do they have? They've got, here's my monthly payment, here's all the different loan types I could qualify for, here's what I'm going to need out of pocket to buy this house. The number one question everyone gets, right? What is this going to cost me, and what can I afford? Well, this answers that question on the specific property they're standing in right now. And then it gives them an ability with a different tab to adjust those numbers, right? Like what if I want to put more down or less down? What does that do to my payment? What does that do to my closing costs? And then it gives it another tool, which the realtors love. What's the cost of waiting? What if I wait 1 year, 4 years, 5 years, and I'm renting today? Oh my God. Like, I'm going to leave this much equity on the table. I need to really think a little bit differently about this, right? And then the part that the loan officers love, which is the early payoff, right? Let me show you how you can get out of this loan in 22 years versus 30. You know, let's give you those things. And having a tool like that, I couldn't dream of, right? Like, I'd be like, all right, again, like I said, I love technology, but it's like, that's nothing I'm going to go spend all that money on. Let's keep with our flyers. It's worked. It ain't broke. We'll fix it. But I think those are the types of things we're going to see more and more of coming out. You know, like we've got, little tools that we're building here and there just to speed up our day.
Yeah.
But then a lot of it also is for marketing too.
Yeah.
How do you feel like, do you have an opinion on, I know like your average producer, or maybe none of your producers would invest into building something like that. One thing that we see a lot and that we kind of engage, Frazier and I both kind of engage with online and talk about on the broker or on the MLO project, is the idea or the question of how much producers that are like producing in their day to day and don't have LOs that they're building this stuff for, are how much time they're spending building those kind of tools for themselves. What's your, like, do you have an opinion on that, being somebody that gets sucked into that stuff kind of yourself? Like, how do you feel about that? Where do you think somebody that's listening that is a producer that doesn't have, or just anybody that's listening, like, how would you advise them to draw that line in their business and say,
and their sole responsibility is originating business?
yes,
don't do it. I mean, like, seriously, like, it's so clear. Like 5 months ago, we were talking about just getting into it, right? Like, ChatGPT, what's Claude? I don't know what this is. Like, we're kind of like start figuring it out. Here we are 5 months later, and a couple of people that were with us last time, their business has exponentially changed based on what AI has done for them in ways that we didn't really think were on the table last time.
Yeah.
As much as we wanted to think outside the box. So I think I go down the rabbit hole because I'm looking at my team, and I don't want them doing this. And that's the biggest reason why I do it, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be an originator forever. I never was in the past. I mean, it was, but like, it's not, I enjoy it. I'm always going to keep my hands in it, but I don't need to keep them in it as much as they are today.
Yeah.
And I think the more I can do to say, hey, if I could create people to take whatever piece of my business they like and put it into theirs in an easy way that they can absorb and ingest, that's awesome. So like, there's plenty of little things we've tried and tools we've rolled out that never get used. And there's some things that are like used nonstop. We used AI on the business plans. I don't know if you've seen, did I show you the business plan?
we glanced over it for you to show me the open house tool, but you didn't explain what
it's a business plan, a one-page business plan I've been using forever in every job I've been at. And I coach all of my salespeople to it. But I thought of it one day, I'm like, what if we just had AI help LOs? Because the biggest thing that people struggle with when they're building a plan is like, I need ideas. Like, I need something to kind of help coach me through what I want to do. I know what I want to do, but how do I get there, right? So we took the business plan and I put a little survey in the front of it that kind of profiles you in your sales career. Are you a newbie? Are you experienced pro? What's your selling style? What's your goal? And then the next page is what's your ultimate financial goal, right? And then it backs into all the numbers based on our company's unique comp plan, right? And along the way, once you get through answering all those questions and you put in your annual income, you have some choices to make. You can either start with your areas of discipline and areas of improvement, which are the two main cores of it, or you can click a button and AI is going to read all your answers and say, here's what people like you would use. And you can leverage that to build your plan or just build your own. And then as you get into the areas of improvement, same thing. Based on what you said earlier, I'm going to give you 6 suggestions on areas of improvement that may work for you, or put your own in. And then take it one step further. The biggest part of any plan is being able to measure it, right, and execute on it. So then on the very next page, all in one nice little tidy package, they've got their tracking on their plan that does it weekly. So when they come back through the coaching sessions and we're working with them throughout it, they've got not only a business plan that's with them all the time as like a breathing document, which is really what it should be. It's like your manifesto, right? Like you should be traveling around. We used to make our LOs, our account executives laminate them, right? And bring them with them. And I'd literally, if I went on the road with them, I'd be like, where's your plan? It's the very first thing I'd ask, because if they didn't have one, I'm like, how do you know what you're going to do? Like, what's the goal here? I want to hit my numbers. Well, that's not a goal. That's survival.
Yeah.
So, but the same thing, like we've used it for that, where like before it was like, okay, I got this pretty little, form people fill out and they can do it, but it took them forever. Yeah. I rolled that thing out. I had like, people that haven't done business plans, I think in probably 5 years, all of a sudden come to me like, I did it, boss. Can we go over it? I'm like, sure. Like not expecting that phone call. Yeah. So like there's little things I've actually used AI to re-engage my staff in some ways too. So
I think you touched on something that I've never really considered or thought about as an argument to why some people should really stay out of the tool development area, or like, avoid getting bit by that bug, is with, and it's something that I've kind of addressed a little bit lately, is like, I feel like leaders are going to do more and more of this stuff. And I think that's okay, more than okay. I think that's super, super valuable. One of the reasons why is because if you are an LO that's never averaged more than 4 or 5 loans a month in your business, which is like, oh, it's all right. Yeah. Like if you're an LO that's never done that, then like you don't really have any business deciding what's important enough in your business to like build a tool around it, versus you take somebody that's a leader that's been there, that is like you just said it, like I'm building pieces of my business that I know are most important, that allow my loan officers to implement them into your business, which means you as an advisor, as a coach, as a leader, are essentially like curating these things and saying like, this is worth it. This is worth spending that time on, right, versus an LO, which is just going to, build a combination of like what comes to mind first, what they are like technically closest to being able to execute, and what maybe saves them a little bit of time during the week, or they think is going to save them a little bit of time in the week.
Or what happened yesterday, which is typically what it is, right? Oh, this happened to me. We got to fix this. It's like, whoa, man. So like, I think you're absolutely right. And in some ways I am the mad scientist building Frankenstein, which is, no one should do that. But I'm not telling everyone in our staff to be Frankenstein. I'm saying, hey, you like the open house tool? Do it. You want a business plan? Do it. Mm-hmm. You want to work leads and put them through our system? Do it, right? No one's required to do any of that stuff. But like, take the pieces of it that you want, that work for you, and then make it your own. And I think that's the big difference. We do the same with the way we roll out products in our company and everything. But like the whole technology piece with this AI thing, I think dangerously, right? Do I think a leader should be in as deep as I am into this stuff? Probably not. I mean, you should in your position because that's your job, right? I really should be more focused on the bottom line and growing the business, which I do. I mean, I don't geek out the whole day, but I think a leader has to have enough knowledge of where the vision needs to be, right? So like if you were to look at my business plan, you would see, Northeast Financial as the leader in its space in terms of technology. I tell people when they come and interview, hey, we got the Cadillac of LOSs. I've got the Cadillac of CRMs. I've got the Bentley of product mix. And once people actually start to see that and understand, like, wow, we can do all this stuff. That's beauty of being a broker too. Then they can just take the pieces that they want to be and be really great at that.
Yeah. Dig it.
Yeah. So as we wrap here, we had a question. So we had a previous guest give us a question to ask you without knowing, but it's not you specifically. It's whatever.
It's all true.
It's all true. It's just because we didn't know who was going to be next on the interview, and so you'll do the same. And you'll have a question for us to ask the next guest. But the question that they wanted to ask you is, what is a takeaway from this mastermind that you plan on implementing in your business?
So, there's a lot. I just sent Mike a list of 8. But let me.
8? We talked about 3. What the hell?
That's okay.
So we talked about 3. You got 5 in your inbox.
Yeah, there's a little more coming. No, I think the biggest takeaway I have from this is basically, I just talked about building Frankenstein. I want to clean up my consumer-facing technology and really simplify it. Like I really want to dial it in. I want to get AI to do as much as humanly possibly for my staff, so my staff can spend as much time as possible working on their particular roles, right? So if it's an LO assistant, which are our processors, processing. If it's a loan officer that's starting out, it's soliciting new clients. If it's an experienced LO, it's maybe putting on their webinars, whatever it is. I want to dial in the front end so when those customers come through, and our goal is really to have everyone feel the same experience when they come through, no matter who they work with. I want to dial it in so like that process feels the same every time. So like if I was hit by a bus tomorrow, the person that was talking to that customer would know exactly what's going on. That customer wouldn't lose a stat.
Yeah.
And we're close. Like I feel like we're really close, but I feel like there's still some loose ends.
Gotcha. And then what question do you have for our next guest?
Next guest, based on what we're doing today.
Just
It doesn't- any
any
question.
question
Doesn't
could
have to
be
do-
abstract. Just any question. Doesn't have to be
No.
specifically from today.
How about if you could change one thing about your business from day one, what would have you done differently?
Good one.
Like that.
And I know my answers,
Yeah.
right? And I think this is I'm not going to tell you, it's one of many new businesses for me. And this one's gone the smoothest because I took all of the things I learned from all the brokers. You got to think about it. I had 3,000 brokers I knew really well, and some of the biggest and the best are now huge in this industry. I took the best of what they had to kind of build our shop. But even then, now that feels like it's like yesterday's news. Like it wouldn't even hold any weight with what we're doing today.
Yeah. Great. Love it.
Good.
Well, with that, Chris, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
As always, just great to hang out with you and talk shop and just another fantastic episode that we're actually going to be able to deliver to all of you.
And for your plug that I forgot last time, your weekly newsletter is gold.
Well, thank you.
I say it all the time. Highest
Awesome.
open rate of anything we send out
Awesome.
is that
Agent
newsletter.
matters.
Agent matters. Well, I appreciate that, my friend. And on that note, thank you all for joining us for another episode of the MLO Project. On behalf of Mr. McAllister and Frazier, and we will see you on the next episode. Take care.
Sweet.